The second the door clicked, the air snapped tight like the house itself sucked in a breath and held it. I didn't even have time to hide the evidence. I was the evidence. Makeup polished to a shine, hair clipped into place with matching barrettes, dress skimming my thighs just enough to expose the trembling curve of my nylon-wrapped legs. I'd frozen mid-spritz, perfume bottle dangling between my fingers, when Ethan appeared in the doorway. His eyes widened. Mine couldn't look anywhere but his, and in that heartbeat, I knew there wasn't a lie, excuse, or miracle on this planet that could save me now. He grinned. Of course he did. Tall, easygoing Ethan, 20 years old, and coasting on the confidence I'd never learned. I barely reached his shoulder, and yet he looked at me like this was just another Tuesday. "And you are," he teased, like I hadn't been caught red-handed in heels. "Diana," I answered, leaning into the absurdity because my brain had abandoned ship. "Well, Diana," he said, "you don't have time to change. Mom's bringing a friend home. Any minute now." Before I could even process that bombshell, the front door opened downstairs, and Mom's voice floated up with the soft chime of disaster approaching. Ethan didn't warn her, didn't stall her, didn't even shoot me a sympathetic glance. Just called out, "Up here, Mom!" with the casual cheer of someone offering me as a surprise course at dinner. I nearly dove for the bathroom, but she stepped into the room too fast. She didn't gasp, didn't shout, didn't even blink twice. She just looked me over, calm and clinical, and said, "Well, at least you're presentable." Presentable. My heart did a full gymnastics routine while she chatted with Ethan like I wasn't standing there in heels about to faint. "She says her name is Diana," Ethan added, the instigator. Mom's lips curved into that small, knowing smile she used whenever she'd solved a puzzle hours before everyone else. "Mrs. Thompson will be here soon for tea," she said lightly. "If you don't want to join us, you should leave now." I tried, truly. I grabbed my purse, ready to sprint out with Ethan, but her voice came sharp and decisive. "You stay, Diana. You look perfectly fine, and it's time you acted like the girl you appear to be." "Mom!" "No buts." Ethan waved at me from the doorway, practically glowing with amusement. "Have fun, Diana." The door shut, and suddenly, Mom and I were alone in the thick, perfumed air of my own making. She studied me without judgment, just observation, and something in her gaze made me stand straighter, even as panic gnawed my insides. "I'll need your help setting the table," she said finally. So I followed her downstairs, heels clicking like little betrayals with each step. She gave no lectures while we laid out cups and saucers, her silence somehow louder than any scolding. Every minute stretched like an hour until Mrs. Thompson arrived. Mom introduced me as Diana. And so I sat, legs crossed, hands folded, voice barely above a whisper. Every movement felt like surgery precise, careful, terrified of exposing a seam. The two of them chatted while I answered only when spoken to, performing femininity like a tightrope act. My heart didn't stop racing until the front door shut behind our guest. When it was over, Mom simply watched me, quiet and sharp as a hawk, studying a trembling mouse. "That went very well," she said. "If you say so," I muttered. "But why have me sit there at all? I could have stayed upstairs." "Yes, but then you wouldn't have had such a lovely tea." "I could have lived without the experience, Mother." If she heard the sarcasm, she ignored it. Or worse, she found it cute. "You looked very nice," she added, "and I'm glad I finally met you." Met me. I couldn't breathe. "You knew?" "Oh, please," she sighed. "You left clues everywhere. Missing panties, a bra in the dryer, makeup smudges on the vanity, perfume lingering in your room. Did you truly think I wouldn't notice?" I wanted to deny it, but the truth sat heavy and undeniable. She'd known for years. "And now that I've seen you fully dressed," she went on, "I can say you look lovely. With a bit of help, no one would suspect a thing." Her words hit every insecurity I'd ever whispered to myself in the dark. She wasn't just guessing she saw me, really saw me. Your hair, for instance, she continued, could use a different style. And your nails could stand to look a bit more polished. Your mannerisms? Well, we can work on those. My pulse skittered. She had named every flaw I knew too well. It's still early, she said. Let's see what we can do with your hair. Not a suggestion, a command wrapped in maternal sweetness. Upstairs again, she sat me at her vanity, spritzed my hair with water, and rolled every strand into soft pink curlers until my head felt like a garden of foam roses. She misted me with setting spray and nudged me under her dryer, like a salon apprentice. While the warm air hummed around me, she slipped out. When she returned, she handed me a packet of press-on nails. You know how these work. Start applying them. Mom, why are you doing this? She sat beside me slowly, a gravity settling over her voice I wasn't prepared for. I've known about your hobby for a long time, she said. I chalked it up to curiosity, something you'd outgrow. I ignored the signs because I didn't want to confront what they meant. But today, seeing you like this, so composed, so certain, she hesitated, studying my face the way someone reads a secret they've dreaded but expected. I was surprised, she finished softly. Surprised and impressed. Mrs. Thompson's invitation came like an aftershock, soft, polite, deceptively harmless, while Mom delivered the news with the calm certainty of someone already arranging my future. She's having a garden party this Saturday, she said, smoothing a hand over my shoulder as if the matter were already settled. Since she invited both of us, it'll be a good chance for you to get out of the house, meet girls your age, talk to older women, learn to move comfortably with longer nails, maybe even enjoy yourself a little. I'd been out before, yes, but not like this, not in daylight, not under scrutiny, not as someone's polite young lady guest. My stomach dropped. And tomorrow, she continued, we'll find you a nice summer dress for the party. Perhaps new shoes as well. If we're doing this, we're doing it properly. We'll make sure you're a presentable young woman. She left the room before I could object, my fate hanging behind her like a perfume trail. The next morning, she appeared in my room bright and purposeful, helping me get ready again. My nerves were a storm, my hands trembling even as I applied foundation. I don't know if I can do this, I whispered. You already are, she said simply. And somehow that helped. Still, I hesitated at the car. She lifted an eyebrow. I surrendered and climbed in. I don't understand why you're so nervous, she said as we drove. You look wonderful. Outside maybe. Inside I'm terrified. You'll get over that quickly enough. The mall was a quiet roar around us when we stepped inside. Mom walked with purpose. I followed, trying not to fall apart at every passerby's glance. I checked your clothes to see your sizes, she said. Your shoulders are a touch wider, so you'll need to try a few things on, and we'll get something to help shape your hips. Fantastic. Exactly what I wanted. A fitting room confession of everything my body wasn't. It ended up being less horrifying than I'd imagined. In lingerie, I chose another bra and a padded panty brief, pretending not to melt with embarrassment. In the women's department, Mom picked out dresses, tea-length, pastel, hopelessly tragic. I found my courage somewhere between the clearance racks and managed to say no. She blinked, then relented. And then I found it a dress that felt right before I even put it on. When I stepped out in it, Mom's face softened with approval. That one, she said. Definitely. We bought it, plus one more dress, 2 skirts a navy pleated and a pink straight cut she insisted on, 3 blouses and 2 pairs of shoes. This is a lot of clothes for just a garden party, I murmured as we walked back to the car. Her smile brightened with something knowing. You and I both know this isn't a one-time thing. If you're going to dress like a girl, you should have things that truly fit you, things that look tasteful. She wasn't wrong. In my heart, even through the nerves, I knew she was absolutely right. "We have one more stop," she said. "You'll feel much better after it." Her final destination was the salon she visited, chic, fragrant, intimidating. Before I could ask questions, the receptionist greeted her warmly, and I found out I had an appointment. A stylist approached with a bright smile. "Hi, I'm Lisa. Come with me." I sat in the chair, heart pounding like a trapped bird, while Lisa flipped through a style book. Together, we chose something soft, feminine, but practical. She washed my hair, her hands sure and gentle, and as she began to cut, I felt the last thin layer of my old life slipping quietly to the floor with each falling strand. Lisa insisted she'd only trimmed my hair just a few layers here and there to soften the shape, make it easier for me to style on my own. No color, no perm, nothing dramatic. Yet when she spun the chair around, I swear the girl in the mirror breathed differently. My hair fell in soft layers that framed my face, full of movement I'd never known it could have. It was the first time I looked at myself and thought, if I learned how to do this every day, this could really be me. Mom and I went home, bags rustling, the weight of new clothes strangely comforting. In my room, I unpacked everything carefully, blouses still crisp from the store, the skirts with their promise of who I could be, the dresses that felt both terrifying and thrilling. Then I slipped into the summer dress I'd chosen, white, sleeveless, the fabric clean and cool against my skin. Orchids bloomed across the skirt, soft purples and pinks, and the two sewn-in petticoats gave it that gentle sway every time I moved. The bodice hugged just enough, the red belt cinched my waist, and the skirt flared out in a way that made my legs look longer in the white heels. I took one long breath and headed for the kitchen to show Mom only for the doorbell to ring. "Get that, will you, Diana?" she called. I crossed the hall and froze. Through the glass stood Chloe, my friend, the last person I wanted witnessing this transformation before I'd even adjusted to it myself. She looked right at me. Time stopped. I glanced back at Mom. She didn't flinch. "Sooner or later, everyone will find out, Diana. You may as well open the door." My hand trembled, but I turned the knob. "Is Daniel here?" Chloe asked automatically, not even seeing Diana in front of her until she did. Mom stepped behind me. "This is Diana," she said smoothly. "I think you two might have met once before." Chloe blinked. Once. Twice. And then the puzzle pieces fell into place in her eyes. "Oh, Diana! Wow, how have you been?" "Okay, I guess." She brightened immediately. "I'm having a party Saturday night. I stopped by to invite Daniel, but now that I see you, I insist you come as you are." "I can't do that, Chloe," Mom chimed in, maddeningly calm. "Why not, dear?" "Look at me." "I am, and we're attending a garden party tomorrow, which means Saturday is just the next step. You look lovely, and there's no reason to miss a perfectly good party." "I agree," Chloe said. "Wear that dress. It's perfect." And just like that, she was gone after telling me she expected me at 5 sharp. I turned to Mom, desperate. "Mother!" "Don't mother me, young lady. Your hair is done, your nails look lovely, you're very pretty, and that's the end of it. We bought those clothes so you could experience what being a woman is like, not hide from it. This party is a good chance to be around people your age." "But all my friends will be there." She shrugged lightly. "Then everyone who matters will see how pretty you are all at once." Hopeless. Utterly hopeless. And yet deep in the part of me I tried never to touch, this was the very thing I'd always daydreamed about. Going to a party, as a girl. Not Halloween, not a joke. Real. And now that it was happening, I was petrified. Mom hadn't pushed me physically, but emotionally. She'd nudged me every inch of the way, believing in something I wasn't brave enough to admit. I'd agreed to everything except the part where I stopped being afraid. I flopped onto the couch and turned on the TV, letting the noise blur my thoughts. I was somewhere between panic and fantasy when Ethan walked in with his girlfriend, Ashley. She looked at me, then at him, then back at me. Ashley, Ethan said, deadpan. This is my sister Diana. But you don't have any, oh. She studied me openly as I stood, and instead of recoiling or whispering, she smiled. Hi, Diana. You're very pretty. I'm glad Ethan has a sister. My cheeks warmed. Thanks, Ashley. More people had recognized me today, more real recognition than the entire time I'd been walking around the mall. I was safer in public than in my own house. Ethan slipped an arm around her. Hey, are you going to Chloe's party? Something inside me clicked. Maybe it was the way Ashley smiled, or how Ethan seemed unbothered. Maybe it was exhaustion, or desire, or fate. But I nodded. Yes. Got a date yet? Ethan teased. No, of course not. Ashley lit up. Perfect. Ryan's home from college. What? No, wait, I can't. What if he finds out? I'll be lucky to get home in one piece. Oh, sweetheart, not because of who you are, Ashley said. Because he'll want you. He's excited, he's single, and he's normal. Trust me. I'll be there too, she added. You don't need to be shy. And we already told him we had a date lined up for him. And it's you. I stared at them in horror. And, she added sweetly, I hear he's a great kisser. Fantastic. Thank you, I said, dripping sarcasm. You're very welcome, Diana. They breezed off to tell Mom, because of course they did. I sat down slowly, the room spinning. I'd wanted to dress up once in a while. Just once. Quietly, privately. Instead, it had exploded into this shopping trips, hair appointments, a garden party in hours, and a date on Saturday arranged by my own brother. What a beautiful, terrifying mess my life had become. The night before the garden party, sleep had been a stranger. I kept replaying every possible disaster, every stumble, every slip of voice, every gesture that might give me away. I knew the truth instinctively. If I didn't get everything right, if I didn't move, speak, and breathe like a girl, I wouldn't just fail, I'd look ridiculous. And ridicule stuck harder than anything. That fear was why, early that morning, I stripped down and used cream remover to clear every inch of body hair, then shaved until my skin felt impossibly smooth. The dress and makeup I could handle. The real danger lived in my posture, my voice, the way my hips moved. I'd have to keep myself in check with every step. Mom set my hair in curlers again, her hands quick and practiced. Staring into the mirror, I realized yet again the clothes weren't the challenge. I was the challenge, my body, my instincts, every ingrained habit fighting the role I was stepping into. Still, I pushed ahead. Pastel shadows on my eyes, a thin line of black to make them pop, a soft coral blush. She handed me a waist nipper, and I wrapped it around myself, hooking it shut, feeling it tug my waist smaller, tighter, more defined. Then came the pink cotton panties, the padded brief, pantyhose, and the bra. Last night, I'd made a pair of breast forms out of birdseed and nylons. Ridiculous, maybe. But today, slipping them into the bra, they settled with a convincing weight that made my reflection shift towards something new. The summer dress slipped over my head easily, cool and familiar now. The zipper glided up my spine like a final commitment. The white strappy heels clicked when I stepped into them, the ankle strap snapping snugly around bone and skin. Light rose lipstick finished the look. Mom removed the rollers, and I brushed my hair out myself while she watched, correcting only when needed. The style came together in soft layers, a gentle sway at my shoulders. Then she handed me a pair of small pearl button earrings with a matching choker and a bottle of perfume. By the time I was sitting in the family room waiting to leave, I felt like a porcelain doll put together, painted, poised, and one breath away from shattering. Ethan and Ashley walked in. Ashley beamed immediately. You look amazing! Ethan looked proud, like he'd built me himself from spare parts. Mom announced it was time to go. I grabbed the white purse and followed her outside, the morning sunlight hitting my bare legs like a spotlight. In the car, everything spilled out. I don't understand why you and Ethan are doing this to me, I said, the tightness in my voice betraying me. I like dressing up sometimes, sure, but this is insane. A garden party I could have avoided, then a party at Chloe's, and now a date? The sincerity in my voice must have struck her, because she didn't dodge the question this time. She breathed in deeply, her profile softening as she drove. Working at the hospital, she said slowly. I've seen men who liked dressing as women. Men crushed by shame, tormented by secrecy so much so that they harmed themselves. Drinking, cutting, overdosing. Anything to numb the confusion they didn't know how to voice. She paused, her eyes damp as she kept them fixed on the road. I spoke to the staff psychologist. She told me it's far more common than people think, but rarely talked about. The ones who hurt themselves. Her voice wavered. They were alone. They never found support, and I refused to let that be your future. My breath caught. You will never be without a way to express this part of yourself, Diana, she said firmly. Never. By insisting you come today and that you go to Chloe's party, you'll build confidence. You'll know without doubt that you can walk through the world looking like a girl, because it is a real part of you. She glanced at me, the tear visible now. And I've watched you all day. You love being seen as a girl. Don't you? The truth settled warm and undeniable in my chest. Yes, I whispered. I do. As for the date, she said, I didn't arrange that. Ethan must have sensed you'd say yes. And if Ashley's brother doesn't know, don't tell him. Just be Diana for the day. Relax. Enjoy. Easy for her to say. When we arrived at the garden party, I recognized 4 girls from school. None of them recognized me. I moved carefully soft steps, light voice, gentle posture. I kept close to Mom at first, but was eventually swept around, introduced as Diana Hayes. I spoke quietly, letting my voice settle into a huskier softness that felt oddly natural, like Kathleen Turner, minus the Hollywood gloss. While I was checking out the buffet table, a familiar face approached. Hi, I'm Sophia Miller. I don't think we've met, have we? Oh, I'm new. I'm Diana Hayes. She motioned to an empty table, and I followed, trapped by politeness and fear of tripping in heels. Sitting down felt like safety. I know a guy named Daniel Hayes, she said casually. Are you related? My mind raced. A lie could unravel. A truth could explode. Mom's words echoed. Always be yourself. Sophia was stunning hair like spun gold, huge blue eyes, a body that made every boy turn into a stammering toddler, and I knew in that moment I had to tell her. I'm Daniel, I said quietly. Or, I used to be. The words sat between us like a grenade pin pulled, waiting. Sophia blinked once. Then her lips curved slowly. I'll be damned, she whispered. You're gorgeous. You're not mad? Mad? Diana, please. Maybe jealous because now I'll have to work harder to get a boyfriend. But no, not mad. Her fingers brushed mine. I covered her hand with my own in thanks. Did Chloe invite you to her party? She asked. I nodded. Are you going as Diana? I think I have to, I admitted. For myself, and for anyone who cares about me. Sophia smiled warmly. Then you can count on me. If you need anything, call me. I will, I said softly. Thank you. Just then, Megan arrived, bright-eyed and curious. Sophia, who's this? Sophia, this is Diana, she said, and my heart thudded hard, knowing each introduction made Diana a little more real, a little more alive, and infinitely harder to deny. Megan's hi came wrapped in frost, the kind of wary tension she gave every girl she thought might glance at her boyfriend for longer than a heartbeat. It never had anything to do with me, but she treated everyone like a threat, so I gave her a polite nod and nothing more. No point in melting ice that insisted on refreezing itself. By the time Mom and I finally headed home, something inside me had loosened. Maybe it was the sunlight, maybe Sophia's kindness, maybe the fact that no one had pointed at me, screaming man in a dress, whatever it was, I felt lighter. Feel better? Mom asked, watching me closely. I told Sophia. Her head snapped my way. I explained everything, my logic, my fear. The fact that lying about being my own imaginary cousin would fall apart the moment anyone asked why Daniel vanished into smoke and Diana popped out like a magician's assistant. She didn't care, Mom, I said. She accepted me, told me to call her if I needed anything. Mom didn't say a word the rest of the ride home. Not approval, not concern, just thinking. Later, after I'd changed into a skirt and blouse and tossed the summer dress into the laundry, she appeared behind me so silently I nearly jumped. Having a close girlfriend is part of being a woman, Diana, she said softly. You and Sophia can share secrets now. Maybe later, more. Maybe Chloe, too. Her tone was gentle, but the weight of her words sat warm in my chest. I didn't want to admit how much they meant. I was helping her make dinner when Chloe and Sophia appeared at the back door. Hi, Mrs. Hayes, Chloe said brightly. Can we borrow Diana for a minute? Mom agreed, and the three of us stepped out onto the patio. Chloe crossed her arms. You seriously don't realize how pretty you are, do you? Sophia nodded. We've known each other since grade school, all three of us, and we had absolutely no idea about any of this. Why didn't you tell us? Right, I snorted. Imagine me walking up in ninth grade going, oh, by the way, Sophia, I've got the same dress you're wearing, and I adore it. I would have been a social corpse by lunchtime. They exchanged a guilty look. They knew I was right. True, Chloe admitted. But now that you've come out, or whatever we're calling it, we think it's time you join our little club. Sophia grinned. We talked it over. You're a member now, and tonight, we're celebrating. How? I asked carefully, already afraid of the answer. We're going clubbing, Chloe declared, which means fancy, bold, and stylish dresses. I felt my stomach drop. I don't have anything like that, and I'm not wearing anything super low cut. I can't no plunging anything. We figured you'd say that, Sophia chimed in, and we found the solution. We'll be over at 10, Chloe said. Prepare yourself for the surprise of your life. I could only nod helplessly. The next morning, dressed down in shorts and a loose blouse for safety, I fished the summer dress from the dryer and was ironing it when Chloe showed up with a large bag in her arms. Ready? She asked, eyes sparkling. Let me finish this, I said, hanging the dress before she could pounce. We headed to my room, Mom trailing us because of course she didn't love the idea of me and Chloe disappearing alone behind a closed door. Even if I was dressed, this was still her house. Chloe set the bag on my bed and pulled out two perfectly shaped breast forms. These were my grandmother's, she explained. Mom kept them after she passed. They've been in the basement forever. I picked one up, stunned. They felt real. Not exactly like skin, but soft, warmish, pliable way, better than the birdseed science project stuffed in my bra. They glue on, Chloe said. They stay for ages. And Mom says they conduct body heat, so once they warm up, you can actually feel it when someone touches them. I nearly dropped one. Not likely, Chloe. We'll see, she grinned. Mom read the instruction sheet while I stripped off my blouse and bra, trying not to die of embarrassment. Under her guidance, the forms were pressed onto my chest, the seams smoothed, the edges sealed. They settled into place with a weight that made me gasp. You'll be a small B cup, Mom said, stepping back. I turned to the mirror and nearly fainted. They looked real, not pretend, not makeshift, real. I cupped them instinctively, feeling the slight give, the warmth spreading. I think she likes them, Chloe laughed. It certainly looks that way, Mom said before leaving us alone. I slid into my bra after Chloe showed me the spin-around trick, and the shape was perfect. Feminine, convincing, dangerous. Now, Chloe declared, we find you a stunning dress for tonight. I assumed we were heading to the mall, But instead, we arrived at Sophia's house, where her mother simply nodded at the sight of 3 girls and sent us upstairs without hesitation. Sophia's closet held 4 gorgeous dresses, and before I could even comment, she slipped out of her clothes and stood there in nothing but panties, unapologetic, confident, radiant. My mouth went dry. "Get used to it, Diana," she said. "Take off your skirt and blouse." Chloe was already stripping. The 2 of them standing there half naked made me feel like my entire body had turned into an alarm siren. I hurried out of my clothes just to hide in the green dress they handed me. Sophia zipped me up and stepped back, pleased. "That was my sister's. You look as good in it as she ever did." "Thanks," I whispered. She gave me matching jewelry, and once I tried everything on, I changed back into my own clothes, heart hammering. On the ride home, Chloe grinned like a fox. "Sophia was showing off for you," she said. "So were you," I shot back. "Of course I was." She snorted. "Come on, admit it. You've wanted to see my chest since I first got it, right?" I nearly choked. Of course I had. And now she'd just said it, out loud, smirking. And for the first time since this whole journey started, I realized I wasn't just included. I was seen. Chloe smirked at me, waiting for her answer like it was a confession. "Well," I said, rolling my eyes just enough to make it playful. "They're nice, of course. Not as nice as mine, but nice, for a slender girl." She smacked my shoulder, grinning. Smart mouth. She headed toward her house, and I went home still warm from the banter, still buzzing from the thrill of being seen, accepted, wanted. "Going out?" Mom asked when she spotted the dress in my hands. "They voted me into their little club," I said. "We're celebrating tonight. Sophia loaned me this." I held the dress out, and Mom whistled softly. "That will certainly draw attention." "I hope so," I quipped, waiting for her to react. She didn't. All she said was, "Be safe, Diana." Mom. 1. Diana. 0. Again. I had nearly 3 hours before they picked me up, so I slipped into the bathroom, stripped, and checked myself carefully for stray hair. A few stubborn ones on my legs and arms, gone with a razor. When the foam pads in my padded brief slid out, I replaced my panties and slipped the pads directly between fabric and skin, smoothing pantyhose over them until the shape looked seamless. A stretchy control brief over that, and the illusion sharpened, almost startlingly real. After washing off my makeup, I studied the breast forms. Up close, the seams were faint but visible, so I dabbed concealer along the edges, powdered them down, and checked in harsh light to make sure nothing would show. Satisfied, I wrapped myself in a robe and went to the kitchen for a soda and nearly dropped the can. Mom sat at the table with Mrs. Evans, Chloe's mother. "Hello, Diana," Mrs. Evans said warmly. "Nice to see you again." "Nice to see you, ma'am." "Sit down, dear," Mom said, pointing at the chair like I had no real choice. I sat, bracing myself. "When Chloe told me everything, I couldn't believe it," Mrs. Evans said. "I had to see you myself. And now that I have, well, I'm stunned. You're gorgeous." My face warmed. "Thank you." She leaned forward, her expression shifting to something softer. "Chloe loves you, dear. You know that, don't you?" My mouth went dry. I didn't know. Not really. I only knew the ache I felt every time her eyes lingered, every time she stood too close, every time she laughed, and I felt it in my chest like a tug on a thread tied directly to my heart. I stayed quiet. "Well, she does," Mrs. Evans continued, "which presents a complication. You 2 have known each other since childhood. You're both grown now. And dressed as you're looking as you do, Chloe isn't going to think twice about changing in front of you." Images flashed uninvited Chloe undressing at Sophia's house, her smooth skin, her curves, the electric jolt I'd felt. She wasn't imagining the risk. It was real. "We're concerned," she said gently. "Her girlfriends always swap clothes, try things on in front of each other. You look as nice as any of them, Maybe nicer and human nature is what it is. We don't want any accidents, understand? I swallowed hard and nodded. Are you in love with Chloe? She asked. The truth rose before the lie even stood a chance. Yes. She sighed softly, not surprised. Can you promise me nothing intimate will happen between you two? I remembered Chloe by the closet, the soft swing of her hips, her bare skin glowing under the bedroom light, and the fierce physical reaction that had nearly undone me. I opened my mouth to lie and found I couldn't. No, I whispered. That's exactly what Chloe said. Mrs. Evans stood, touching my hand gently. The two of you can do all the things girls do together, Diana, but you are not allowed in her bedroom alone, all right? Yes, ma'am. She smiled, satisfied, and left. Mom said nothing, just watched me, thoughtful and unreadable. That night, the three of us went out clubbing. We barely made it past the door before men started orbiting us like moths around new light bulbs. Compliments, drinks, winks, numbers, sometimes charming, sometimes exhausting. But every time one leaned in too close or whispered something bold in my ear, Chloe or Sophia would pull me away, protective, laughing, keeping me safe. We all went home alone, but not untouched, not by the stares, the music, the feeling of being seen as three girls on the prowl instead of two girls and whatever I was becoming. Later, outside my house, Chloe and I talked in the warm glow of the porch light. So you love me, she teased, her voice a whisper meant to linger. Why didn't you tell me, Diana? Nobody likes to be rejected, I murmured, and you and Scott were a thing for a long time. She scoffed. Please. Scott was training wheels. Before I could reply, she reached under my dress, quick, sure, mischievous. The jolt that shot through me nearly knocked the breath from my lungs. Well, Chloe whispered, eyes shining, that's not very ladylike. I know, I breathed, still trembling, but that's what you do to me. I leaned in and kissed her softly, just a brush of lips, and slipped inside before she could tempt me further. After undressing, I sank into a long, hot bath, trying to sort through the tangle of the evening desire, fear, longing, the dangerous thrill of acceptance. The next morning over breakfast, Mom watched me quietly, then said, I've been thinking about something that might make things easier for you when you're around Chloe, or other girls, when they change clothes. I froze mid-bite. Come to your room. I bought a few things. Let's see if this works. I followed, clueless and a little nervous. Take your clothes off, she said. Everything including your panties. Her tone left no room for argument, even though the request made heat crawl up my neck. I stripped, shy, but obedient. Lie down, legs apart as far as they'll go. I did as told, feeling ridiculous and exposed. She moved the bookcases over so I could rest my heels on the lower shelves, leaving me impossibly open, vulnerable in a way I'd never experienced. Then cold. A shock like ice. I jerked, but Mom pressed a steadying hand to my chest. Hold still, Diana. She worked with quiet precision, steady fingers, gentle adjustments, smooth pressure. I felt the cool swipe of adhesive, the careful tucking and arranging, the firm hold of skin shaped into something entirely different. This is a surgical-grade adhesive, she explained. It stays secure but isn't harmful. I'm going to create a more feminine look, for your comfort and for modesty. Her touch was clinical, careful, but the result was magic. When she handed me the mirror, I looked down at a flawless feminine contour, smooth, believable, shockingly natural. The doctor said you may feel some discomfort for the first hour, Mom said. After that, it will ease. I stared at the transformation, stunned. For the first time since this journey began, I didn't just look like Diana. I felt like her. The best part, Mom said, was that the procedure would keep everything secure for a month. No slips, no surprises. No reactions I couldn't control. I sat there stunned, unsure whether to thank her or bolt out the door and run until I hit county lines. "I'll call Mrs. Evans," Mom added, emphasizing the word girls with a gentle nudge. "You and Chloe can share everything girls normally do." I wasn't sure if that reassurance comforted me or terrified me. When I dressed for the party, the transformation was unmistakable. My panties now showed the soft curve and cleft of a feminine silhouette, and for the first time, I felt completely shielded inside the shape my mother had crafted. I did my hair, perfected my makeup, slipped into the white dress with its quiet sway, then stepped into my heels. I no longer worried about being discovered. My body looked like a girl's. My reflection felt like a girl's. And the confidence that brought was intoxicating. The only complication was Chloe. If she realized just how thoroughly I resembled her, she might rethink everything between us. I carried my swimsuit in a bag as instructed and headed to her house. My date, Ryan, was introduced right away. He was as tall as Ethan, but broader across the shoulders, with short curls so dark they nearly glowed blue in the sun. Standing next to him, I felt like punctuation thin, curved, emphatic. But he was warm, attentive, quick with compliments. When the music started, he pulled me into a dance, and I felt strangely safe. Most of the kids didn't recognize me. Perfect. Megan clung to Jake like he was about to evaporate. Sophia and her date were curled up together, whispering and touching each other's legs under the shade. Chloe had invited Scott, her old disaster of a boyfriend, and they were already laughing on the dance floor. Then Chloe clapped her hands. "Time for a swim! Let's change!" The girls, me included, poured into her room like a wave of fabric and perfume. There was a blur of straps, zippers, barebacks, and rustling clothes as we changed. I slipped my panties down and caught Chloe's stare. Her eyes widened as she took in the smooth, feminine line of my body, the illusion flawless. I didn't speak. I let the moment settle. Then I pulled on my swimsuit. Later, at the far end of the pool, she swam up beside me and touched my arm. "Mom told me your mother fixed it so we don't have restrictions anymore," she whispered. I wondered how. Now I know. "Mom said I can't react anymore," I murmured. "She wanted it to be easier for us." "I'm like you now." Chloe studied my face. "Is this what you want, Diana?" "I always loved you," I said softly. "Always. But I loved being Diana too. And now?" She nodded, understanding in her eyes. "Then we can be best friends." The word hit me strangely warm, bittersweet. I hugged her, tears sliding down my cheeks. Then a hand touched my leg. Ryan. His fingers traced upward, slow and surprising. I shivered. "I think best friends is best for us, Diana," Chloe whispered, then swam away, leaving me exposed and breathless. Ryan surged up from the water and kissed me before I could catch my breath. "You have beautiful legs," he murmured. "Long, soft, elegant. The rest of you is pretty attractive too." I shoved him back into the water, but he grabbed my ankle playfully and tugged me under. I resurfaced in his arms as he kissed me underwater, gentle, but bold enough to inhale every coherent thought I had left. Later, when we changed again, one of the girls whispered, "Someone said you were actually Daniel, but after seeing you undressed? Impossible." They all giggled, brushing hair into ponytails and retouching their makeup as if my revelation was nothing more than gossip. Ryan stayed glued to my side for the rest of the day. Solid, charming, handsome, interested. When he asked me to take a drive, I hesitated only a second. "Let me change, Ryan. Come by in an hour." At home, I slipped into short shorts and a fitted top. I dried my hair, retouched my makeup, and waited by the window. He arrived exactly on time, nervous, excited, trying not to show it. We drove around for a while before he pulled into Willow Creek Park, stopping at the overlook where the lake shimmered. "Ashley told me you were beautiful," he said. But blind dates always come with exaggeration. Turns out she was right. He slid his arm around me. His lips brushed mine, slow and warm. I melted into the kiss, letting myself feel the moment his hand sliding up my leg, stopping high enough to make my breath hitch. He wasn't subtle about how he felt, and he didn't hide his desire. He leaned me back, the seat clicking under us, and kissed me deeper. His hand found my side, then my waist, then my breast. His touch sent heat across my skin, rising fast. But then something inside me shifted. A clear line. A quiet answer. I sat up gently, fixed my bra, smoothed my top. I kissed his cheek softly, then whispered, "Take me home, Ryan." He didn't pout. He didn't push. He just smiled a slow, knowing smile and drove. When I slipped inside my room later, I knew. I understood myself in a way I never had before. I was a woman, not pretending, not performing, not hiding. I had stepped into it fully, and it felt right in a way nothing ever had. Not dressing up, not experimenting, not dreaming, living it. Yes, I once thought Ethan had caught me by accident. But looking back, maybe some part of me wanted to be caught. Maybe I'd been moving toward this moment a long time. The garden party, tea with Mrs. Thompson, shopping with Mom, the club, Ryan, Chloe. Any step along the way, I could have refused. I could have drawn a line, argued, stomped my feet, insisted I wasn't ready, but I never did. Because deep down, I wanted this. Now I live as a woman full-time. Soon I'll start hormones, take the steps that will help my body match the self I finally recognize. And while I wait for that future to unfold, I'll do whatever I can to make Ryan happy, to build what we're starting. No, I wasn't caught trying to be a woman. I stood up and became one.